Well, hello, avid readers. I am so glad to have my friend Dani Pettrey here, and we are going to be talking about her book, 2 Seconds Too Late, which is a brand new release. It's coming out. But first of all, before we jump into the book, Dani, why don't you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am a romantic suspense author with Bethany House. 2 Seconds Too Late is my 14th novel. I'm a wife of 33 years. We have two grown daughters, two son-in-laws, two grandsons, and a 100-pound newfie. So we like to say we have twos around here.
Lots of that. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I love it. Okay. And you live in Florida, and
Yes.
yeah.
We live in Florida now. We moved to Florida in September, and we had a rough start with the hurricane, but we are back at our house and we are still loving the state. It's just beautiful to be here. Our grandkids are here, our daughters are here. So we're in shorts in January, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah, absolutely. Except the hurricane, and you
Yeah.
just got back in your house in September.
Yes, yes. It flooded in September. We had 4 feet of water and we had just moved in. So everything was in boxes and we lost about 95% of stuff in 2 cars. But people have been so gracious with Go Care funds and Amazon wish lists. I mean, it's just been outpouring of love. Books, because I lost all my books. People are sending books. It's just been a blessing to see how God works through people.
Yeah, and that's so amazing that
Hmm.
people really care. And I think when you go through hard stuff, you're like, "Oh wait, people really care and they want to
Yeah.
help us." And I mean,
Yeah.
it's not fun losing stuff, but
No, no. But we kind of look at it as we have a brand new house because they had to redo everything. So other than the roof, it's a brand new house. So it's
yeah, they
no clutter, no extra paperwork to go through. We're just starting from scratch.
Oh
So
my goodness, Danny.
yeah.
I love your optimism though. You gotta look at the bright side.
You do. Otherwise you cry. So we're being
Yeah.
optimistic and looking on the positive of it for
I
sure.
love it. Okay, so let's talk about 2 Seconds Too Late. It's the second in a series. So just tell us first about this series, and then I would love to hear more about this book.
Sure. So it's a Jeopardy Fall series. It is set in New Mexico. It's about four siblings who were raised by con men and they were
Mm.
pulled into cons as kids. And then as they've grown up and most of them have come to the Lord, they want to kind of pay back what they did as kids, even though it wasn't their fault. So they start a private investigation firm where they bust cons and fight for justice for everyone.
That is so cool. I mean, just first of all, raised by con men. Um, there's like I know people that kind of stuff happened. Like they were taught how to steal. They were taught
Yeah,
how to like con
yeah.
people and pretend
Ex-
you're whatever your car's
yeah,
broke down or like that's overall.
exactly.
So like, how did you come up with that idea to start with?
Honestly, I don't know how I came up with the idea. I was on vacation in Vegas with family, and we don't really go to the casinos. But I thought, what if there was like a family that was raised here? What would that be like for kids? What if the parents were, you know, something during the day, but kind of really con men? And that's I think the trip kind of did it. Um, and I just had this idea of these siblings who would want to get read off their leisure kind of thing. And, always want to be fighting on behalf of those who are being scammed or hurt in some way. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And there's so many scams like today, especially
Oh
like,
my
oh,
God.
I mean, my mom and John's parents were always like, "That's a scam. That's not a real thing. Don't click on that. Don't answer that call." So,
Yes,
and it's
it's
like there's
true.
this whole like the world is just out to like
It is.
deceive.
It is. I actually got a call today saying I'd won a contest and they needed to verify all my personal details for a vacation package. I'm like, I didn't enter one. He's like, but you won. And I was like, no, I didn't enter one. And we went back and forth and I was like, okay, I'm hanging up now. So I just let
Yeah.
it go. But there are my poor in laws, like they really target the elderly, I think, a
Hmm.
lot. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've got a call before and they're like, "You won $200,000." I'm like, "No, thanks." And like, "You don't want
Yeah.
$200,000?" I'm like, "No. How
Yep.
could you not want?"
I
Because I could
know.
clearly tell it's a
It
scam. Like,
is. It
yeah.
is. Absolutely. So, yeah,
Oh, okay.
craziness.
So tell us about, so this is book 2. So, well,
Yes.
just tell us briefly a little bit about book 1, who the main characters are, but I want to go deeper into book 2, which is 2 Seconds Too
Sure.
Late. Yeah.
So the first book is One Wrong Move. It's about Christian and Andy. Christian is a security consultant for art galleries, museums, high profit areas, high for heist, it would be a really big target. And he sets up these security analysts that comes in and says, this is how people could get in. This would be not work. And he sets things up. So one of the museums where there's a lot of ancient artifacts and really famous paintings gets broken into, and there's a heist and they get away with it. And so Andy
Mm.
is an insurance investigator, and she comes in to work the case. And so the two of them end up working the case together. And the theft is not the first one, it's a string of heists, and they have to follow puzzles left for them to try to beat them to the next place.
That is so cool. That is so interesting. Yeah, and there are those security people that have to show the weaknesses. So my husband works for cloud security for a big
Mm-hmm.
company, and they have people that try to break into their systems. Like that's their
Uh,
job, to like try to break in to see where the holes are. And
wow, that's so interesting. I didn't know
mhm. So
that.
you could
Really
use that.
cool.
You could interview my husband
Yes, I will.
for a
I,
future
I would
book.
like to. Yes, that is good to know. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's something hackers. They're like, oh, what's the word for it? I'll think of the word, but
Okay.
yeah, definitely talk to my husband because
Okay.
they hire people to try to hack into their systems to
Wow.
see
Oh,
where
I
there's
will
the
definitely
security
get in
breaches.
touch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us about book 2.
Sure. So, book two features Riley McLeod, who's the youngest sibling of the family, and Grayson Chadwick, who actually formed the private investigation firm and mentored the siblings in it. And a woman that she knows goes missing from a very high end retreat center,
Mhm.
and they have to go undercover to figure out what happened to her. And they end up tracking her. Riley's a tracker. They end up tracking her all over the place, but they realize they're not the only ones tracking her. And now they have somebody tracking them.
Okay, Danny, you are so sweet in person. Like, and then you come up with this like these plots. Like, someone is tracking you, and you're about to die, and you need to find the information before it's too late. Like,
Yes, I
I don't.
know.
Do ever people ever say that? Like, where
Yeah,
does your mind come up with
yeah.
this? Because you're such a sweet person.
They do say it. I'm like, I get to kill people for a living, really, in my books. And so, yes, I've had people say that, or people will send me videos about some crime or some situation, and they'll be like, "Made me think of you," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's probably true."
I love that.
Yeah.
I just thought of it. It's ethical hacking. Ethical
Oh,
hacking is what they do. They hire ethical hackers to
interesting.
come and try to get them. Yeah,
That's very cool.
maybe a future person could be an ethical hacker.
Yes, that's probably going to happen now because I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so talk about, so this high-end retreat, and you said it's in New Mexico,
Yep.
and then someone goes missing. So give
Yep.
us a feel for like the characters, and like, is it just right from the beginning, this is the problem and we're after them, or is it like a slow wind up, or how are your books laid out?
Sure, sure. So it happens pretty quick. They know the woman is missing. They know the last place she was seen is at the retreat. And the head of the retreat is saying she left of her own volition, but nobody can reach
Mm,
her, nobody can find her. So they go in undercover to kind of question the other guests, to kind of dig into things. And so Riley and Grayson like to butt heads a lot. She's very spontaneous. She just kind of goes impulsively into things and has her own manner of investigation, very different
mm,
from his. He, on the other hand, is more reserved. He's very logical, very methodical. So the two are already butting heads, and there's been this spark between them that they've kind of
mm.
ignored. And as they have to play, fake couple
I
for
love
part of
that.
the book,
I
yes,
love those kind of books
I know,
where,
I
yeah.
do. Yeah, it's funny because somebody's review said you have three tropes and they all worked. It was friends to lovers, um, close proximity, and fake dating. And I was like, I didn't realize I did all three, but I did. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So they're having to try to maneuver, plan a couple around. And it's not until I would say partway through the investigation, it kind of is a slow burn up to it. And then it takes off once they realize what's happening and how they need to find her first. And from there, it's just a race till the end.
Oh, so cool. I love
Mhm.
that. I love just the mix of a romantic suspense is like that close proximity. You have to be with this person to solve it,
You do.
and that's where you all kinds of sparks fly, and then
Yep.
tempers fly, and
Yep.
then all the
Yep. They're
things.
forced together for those cases. And so I love that. I mean, it's part of why I love the genre so much, I think, because you get to do both.
Yeah, is that what you planned? Like, did you like? First of all, tell us a little bit like when you wanted to get into writing, and did you always think like it's going to be romantic suspense,
Right.
or was it something else that then you
Mhm.
fell into romantic suspense?
Yeah. So I when my kids were kind of younger, I just took a creative writing class at the college, just thought it would be fun. Ended up renewing my love for writing, which I had done growing up in notebooks and in my high school fiction magazine and stuff like that. And then I homeschooled them, and I just kind of wrote on the side. And I thought I'd write historical fiction because I love the classics. I was a
Mhm.
classic, different classics, but classics major. And I really thought that's where I'd write. But I started to write a couple stories, just started, and I could tell it wasn't the right fit. And I was praying about it, and I didn't have an answer. So I actually took a year off and prayed about it. And finally, I felt God saying, "You're going to do romantic adventure or romantic suspense." And I thought, well, I love reading those, but that's a tricky genre, I think, to
Yeah.
find the balance. Um, but I ended up writing those, and my third manuscript is the one that sold, which was Submerged, and
Mhm.
been writing it ever since. And I feel like God knew what He was doing because I absolutely love it.
Yeah, and that you talked about it, that is a tricky because you have the story arc of the romance, then
Yep,
you have, the story arc of the suspense
yep,
part, which is like it can't be too obvious, and then there might be
yep,
a little bit of mystery. They're trying to
yep.
figure stuff out, and so it's
Yep.
like the pace. Has it gotten easier figuring out that pace
I
as you've
think
gone
it
along?
gets more natural, yeah, but I mean, it's right. It's romance arc, suspense arc, and character arcs in it. And it kind of weaves together. And so, yeah, I think I focus more on the overall story
Mhm.
and how it weaves together. And it does feel more natural. I mean, there's still times where I can stop and go, this is off. This isn't working. Like those 50 pages are gone. Let me start over.
Oh my word, 50 pages?
hmm
Oh
Yeah, my
no.
mentor
Oh no.
used to say she'd throw 100 out if it didn't work, and I always thought, "I will never throw 100 pages out," and I've gotten close, so, yeah, I do a lot of
That's
drafts.
like I'm getting heart palpitations thinking about that.
I know. Yeah, she told me that, I was like, "I'll never do that," and then, yeah, I do that, so,
Mm.
yeah.
Wow. Well, it's good. Like I guess you know what works and what doesn't work,
Yes,
and you're gonna have to like you could throw it out or change it anyway if it goes to your editor and it doesn't work. Uh,
exactly. Yep,
yeah.
that's true, so, yeah. Yep, we're
So
trying something a little new this time to avoid me having to write so many drafts because the story always comes together for me when it's like deadline panic. And so I can see it all come together then. So I have shorter times between my deadlines to kind of get into that panic writing mode when it all comes together. So we're going to see if that works.
has it worked so far?
Well, it's the first book we're trying it on. So it's an experiment. So we will see. So far, it seems like it's working good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll have a year. Like the books do
Yeah.
a year, and then it's like the last 6 weeks are like
That's
ah.
it. 6 weeks is my deadline panic. That's exactly where mine is. They give me more than that because I had to research and I played, with the idea. But yep, it's a 6-week deadline. There's actually a Calvin and Hobbes comic strip I have. And Hobbes is asking, what's your writing process? And Calvin goes, deadline panic. And I was like, yes, that stays on my desk. So,
Yeah, we just
yeah.
so I'm writing a book with my son Nathan that
Hmm.
it's a little bit overdue, but
Yeah.
they have wiggle room. But it's like I just wrote a new chapter 1. The book's almost done. I just
Yeah.
wrote a new chapter 1 like 3 days ago. because
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
actually, this needs to be chapter one, and it just works.
Yeah,
And I'm like, so now I'm tweaking since that's chapter one, just tweaking, going through and tweaking a bit, little bit. But it
yeah,
is like it takes your brain a while to like figure out.
it does.
Writing is complicated.
It is. It is. It's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart, you know. It's definitely it's amazing and I love it, but at the same time there's times where I'm like, I'm never doing this again. So, you
Yeah,
know,
exactly. Yeah, why did I choose to do this?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So these characters in 2 Seconds Too Late, what do you love about them,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
what endeared them to you?
Sure. So I love Riley because she is spontaneous and I'm very spontaneous. I'll be the one to wake up in the morning and go, let's go, like when we weren't in Florida, let's go to the beach today. And we'd go to the beach for the weekend or for the day. Or, let's go do this. It's kind of like last minute fun things or,
Mhm.
ooh, I think I want that. Or, stuff like that. Let me rearrange the bedroom. And so I kind of identified with that because she is very spontaneous. She also rides in the rodeo. She does barrel racing, and my husband, when I met him, was in the rodeo.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, he'd gotten out of the Navy, and he was in New Mexico working on his masters, and he rode bareback in the rodeo. So I think there's that tie there. And then Grayson is um, he's had a lot of stuff in his past that's kind of led up
Mhm.
to where he is now. And he's kind of facing that and dealing with it. And I think we all have things in our past
Yeah.
that can be really painful. And so kind of watching him go through that and, kind of grieving over it and then moving beyond it and finding God's hope. I just think the way he like dealt with it endeared him to me.
Yeah, that's so good, and, I'm just fascinated with that rodeo thing.
Yeah.
I wanna hear more, like, so were you
Yeah.
in New Mexico when you met?
Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah, we met in New Mexico. I lived in Northern Virginia, he lived in Maryland, so we grew up an hour apart. I moved to New Mexico before high school, and then he got, stationed there for his master's right before he got out, and then continued there. But, so we met in New Mexico at UNM, even though we grew up an hour apart, we met there, so we always laugh about it, but
Yeah.
yeah, yep.
Uh, that's awesome. So did you see him at the rodeos?
Mhm.
Or
Yeah, I did, yeah. Yeah, he was good. He just loved it, so
that is so fun.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So cool. Alright, so we have 2 siblings so far in these 2 books.
yes.
So are each of the siblings gonna get is it gonna be
Mhm.
all 4
It's gonna be
siblings are gonna
4. Yep,
okay.
all 4 siblings are gonna get a book. So, the one that I'm turning in May 5th is about Deckard and Harper, who readers met in book 1.
Okay.
So and then we'll see if the black sheep of the family returns for book 4.
Hmm.
Yeah,
We'll see.
we'll
You
see.
do you know? But you
I
just can't
think
tell us
so.
yet?
I think so. I think it will be. She has a lot of growing to go through before she gets her book, so we'll see how that works out. But yes, that's my plan.
I love it. Okay, so
Yeah.
you talked about like you're discovering the books as you. So are you a seat of the pants writer then? So it's
Yes.
this okay, spontaneous Danny, seat of the
Yes.
pants writer, and so like when you start, you don't know how they're going to end up together,
Mm-mm.
how this person's going to be found.
Mm-mm. No, I
Oh my
don't.
goodness.
I know the characters. I have to kind of have a visual of them because I'm very visual, so I have an idea what they look like. I know their profession and I know the setting, and that's about all I know when I start writing.
Okay, this is really giving me heart palpitations.
Yeah. I won't tell you about all the little sticky notes all over the place with thoughts and, all that kind of stuff to try to come up with like if I come up with an idea and I don't want to lose it, I'll get a sticky note, stick it on a poster board and so my husband comes in, he's like, "You're very old school." And I'm like, "Yeah." So I
Yeah.
had been writing my first drafts longhand, but with this deadline panic, I'm actually writing on my laptop for the first time ever for a first draft. So I'm adjusting to that.
I cannot even imagine writing longhand. Like
Yeah.
all the things, like actually, like I'm completely opposite of you.
Yeah.
Like I never write longhand. I know kind of the whole plot most of the
Yeah.
time before we get started. I kind of know like, and I'll write or out of order because I know like this is
Oh,
going to happen here
wow.
and this is going to
Okay.
happen here. And then after all the pieces are there, I'll like weave them together. So,
Okay.
but what
Yeah.
I love, Danny, is like, first of all, God created us so unique.
Yep.
Like each writer with our unique gifts and talents
Yep.
and interests, but then also the writing process. And so
Yes.
I think sometimes we go to like, I remember going to writing conferences or writing
Yes.
retreats and like, we're do it this way, and then you try to do it like other people do it and it's not going to work.
No,
Uh,
it's not. No. I mean, you can say you're seat of the pants or you're a plotter, but other than that, everything is just so different for every person, even within those, headings. So,
mhm.
very different. Everybody has a unique voice and everybody tells a story, even if it's the same setting or same situation. Books will come out completely different because of who the author is and their writing
Yeah.
process, So, and
Yeah.
it's funny, I actually write linear. I can't write out of order, which you would think it'd be the opposite, but I do write linear. So, you gave me palpitations with the out of order thing.
Oh, yeah, I'm like, "Oh, this can happen over here," and I'll just go write that part. And this will, and
Yeah.
there is times I'll have to, like, delete a chapter that because it won't
Yeah.
work, but then actually I'm like, "Actually, it does work if I do this," and then I'll put it back in. So, I have an outtakes file that I, like, put
Okay.
stuff over in, but I would
Yeah.
say 90% of it ends up back in because my mind will,
Wow.
like, figure out how it all weaves together.
Really? That's
Yeah.
fascinating. Yeah, I call it use later, where I put things that I'm cutting in case I change my mind, but I would
Mhm.
say 90% of it does not come back
Okay.
in.
Yeah. Can you use any of those use laters for a different story, or is it
Yeah,
just that?
yeah, some of them I can, absolutely. So, I always keep them for each book and kinda go back and look through them, so because I have a very old school, but I had a file cabinet, like low two-drawer lateral file cabinet, and I had a big, set of files for book ideas, and they
Mm.
went in the flood. So I was
No!
Yeah. So everything is like on the computer, backed up on the hard drive, backed up online because I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, I don't even remember because it's been for years. I put stuff in there. So I'll have to be really creative with new ideas.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were in that file and that file's gone. So if you have
Yeah.
any ideas for Danny, she could
Yes,
she
exactly.
will
But I
take
do
care of.
have the use later folders. And so I do have
Okay.
stuff in there. So it's kind of a little, I got this kind of thing. But yes, yeah, it'll be fun coming up with new stuff. So,
Yeah. So with the deadlines closer to the
mhm.
deadline, are you writing more books now than you did before? Or is it
um,
like breaks between, or how is that working?
That's a really good question. So I think for this year, it had been one book a year. Next year, it's going to be a novella and a book. And then the following year, I think the following year, it'll be a book. And then I'm hoping a novella. So it is a little bit more. And I think it depends when they have me turn in book four, because I don't actually know that date yet. So it's possible I could have two in a year, which would be really fun. That's what I used to do every other season. And I love
Okay.
that. And then I got sick and I went to once a year and I just haven't gotten back to that. So that's kind of my aim, is to get back to that.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
are you gonna finish this series before you start a new series, or is it like another like the novellas tied into the series then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah. It's in between books two and three.
Okay. Is that when that person's gonna come to redemption and get her life back together?
No. Not yet.
Oh, man, come on,
No.
you gotta help the poor
About
person.
secondary characters,
Oh,
and
okay.
kind of their own adventure away from New Mexico at a ski lodge, and so, that was a really fun one to write, so I'm excited. It'll be out in February.
I love it. Okay, so tell us about, like, your research for the setting and the location. I mean, did you get to go to a luxury resort?
No, I did not. I would have loved to go to a luxury resort, but I did research online, like what classes retreat centers have and what they offer and how
Mhm.
much they cost. And, especially ones like in Arizona, they've got beautiful ones like in Sedona and
Mhm.
Scottsdale and a lot of places. And so I would have loved to do that research. I did not get to do that research. But setting wise, living in New Mexico, I've been to all the places that
Hmm.
they go to, with the exception of one place in Western New Mexico. But otherwise, I've been to all of them. And so it was really fun to interrogate that into the story. Interject it in the story, restaurants we liked, and,
Yeah.
drives we would take, and where we went skiing, and that was really fun. So I had a good time with that. And then I did do a lot of research on PIs, and I did a lot on tracking people, and also how to disappear. And that was pretty fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to dig into this.
Oh,
So
thank
fun.
you.
Yeah. That's going to be a good one for audio too. Cause it's like
Yeah.
the fun
Yeah.
that just like, I love it when you're, for me, cooking dinner, doing laundry, big family. That's
Yeah.
where I really just like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice way
That,
to listen to books. I do the same thing. If I'm working around the house, I'm listening to a book. So, yeah.
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 So if you could have like your ultimate like writing retreat, you can go someplace to like have time to write, like where would you pick? And like
Mhm.
what would kind of be your schedule for that writing time?
Ooh, I would go to Hawaii. My husband and I love Hawaii. Kona is our favorite.
I'm
Um,
going there next month to teach
no.
writing.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, that's so exciting. Yes, we've done multiple anniversaries there and we really love it. So I'd probably pick Kona, and I'd probably pick a canopy lounge chair like we get on the beach, and just sit and write out there all day. Have people
That
bring me nice, refreshing, lemonade, or food, or, whatever. But I think that would be exactly where I would go.
Oh, that sounds so amazing. I've never been to Hawaii, but
Really?
yeah, but
You will
I
love
got
it.
I got asked to teach there at a writing retreat thing,
So
and,
fun.
my husband gets to go with me. It's our 35th anniversary, it was, so we're
Wow.
celebrating, so
Congrats.
yay! So
Wow.
now and it's
That's
in
awesome.
Kona. Danny, I'm
That's
so even more
amazing.
excited now because I had
Oh,
to
you'll love it. You'll love it. It's amazing. So what conference is it?
it's the
Oh, yeah.
YWAM, yeah, writing school.
Yeah. My contractor and his wife actually runs part of YWAM.
Okay,
Yep. So, and
so,
she's a writer too, and she's also an artist, and so she's run them in Baltimore before. So,
yeah, you got to say, "Hey, put my name
yeah,
in for the
I'm
Kona
gonna
thing."
I'm gonna talk to you in Houston when we get done with
You're like,
this.
"Hey, I heard about the Kona thing," so
Yeah, right. I know. I know. Yeah, that'll
I
be
love
wonderful.
it.
You'll have a great time.
Yeah, and I feel it's like a gift because my husband and I are like, "What are we gonna do for our anniversary?" I don't know. Like, it's
Yeah.
a lot of money to go somewhere. We have all these kids, and then
Yeah.
this came up. I'm like, "Thank you, God. That's that's
Yeah.
awesome."
Yeah, that is
Yes.
awesome. What a
So we'll have
gift.
to talk later. You're going to tell me where to go, what to
Yes,
do, what to
I
eat,
will.
all the things, Danny.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep, will
I
do.
love it. And then you're gonna have to set a series there,
I know.
um,
I
for an
know.
upcoming books, then you have to go research.
Yes, I will have to do that. Yes. I've actually thought about doing a series there, and because every time we travel there, I'm like, this would make a really cool location. So who knows? Maybe down the road.
Yeah, someone disappears snorkeling or yeah.
Right? Yep. Something on a cruise ship, because they have them there between the islands, and
Yeah, very
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Oh, this is so fun. Okay, so where can readers go, Danny, to get more information about you and all your books?
Sure. So my website's dannypettrey.com. I'm on Facebook, and I have a readers group called the Suspense Squad, where I share a lot of behind the scenes things. And I'm also on Instagram.
I love it. So we'll have all those in the show notes. But Danny, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.